Welcome into Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts with CPA and personal financial specialist Phil Putney. Now let's get rolling with today's show. Welcome into Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts. Phil, let's talk a little bit about the hard part in retirement, the surprisingly hard part that nobody really preps you for. And people might be wondering, well, what is that? It's got to be planning for income. It's got to be, taxation. No, it's actually spending what you saved, like
spending the money,
enjoying it, right?
It is surprisingly hard.
Right.
For some people, not all.
For some people, right? I was going to say,
a lot of people that is a very big challenge. Probably one of the, not the biggest, but up in the top 10 for sure. As far as challenges to face and adjustments to make as you get into retirement.
Yeah. Well, think about that too, for depending on the type of person you are, right? If you've been a really diligent saver and you've you started playing this game with yourself years ago and you've been really, you're just watching this thing grow and stuff, you get to this point and after decades, you're like, hey, this was the right thing to do. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to see it go down, right? Yeah. And maybe, so I don't know, maybe there's these three big holdups. At least these are the three that I put down. So let's talk about them.
Sure.
I'll let you, obviously do your thing because you've seen this time and time again with people. Obviously, the fear of running out typically is the top one, right?
Right. Yeah. So fear of running out, that's logical, right? Most people, you're afraid to run out. You don't want to, make sure you've got enough to make it through retirement. But if you've done proper planning, that should be answered, but still, I think it's one of those things that, I see it on paper and we've got the plan,
right?
But what if, right?
Yeah. Even if it's a healthy account, some people just struggle, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's where the advisor hopefully can help you walk through that process to set the plan up first to at least give you the knowledge and the foresight to say, everything based on the numbers and everything, that we've worked with it, you're going to be fine. There's not low probability of you running out of money if,
right.
history repeats itself and you spend at these certain levels, et cetera. Obviously, there's a lot of moving variables as you get into retirement, but
you're right.
Never set it and forget it. But based on everything you know today, something we have to monitor. But you're good. They're not going to run out of money unless.
So if you've got, let's say you got 10 people, they all struggle with the concept of actually spending it. We'll just make a little equation here.
Yep.
The plan and in black and white a lot of times helps about maybe half of those people. Once they see it laid out, they're kind of like, okay, this makes sense.
Yep.
And then for others, does it kind of need to start being the checks coming in on a regular basis, seeing that, maybe a year or two into retirement, seeing that everything is still copacetic, right? Or copacetic.
Even those that you see it in numbers, the plan works, okay. It takes time to adjust, right? Because you're used to, I know I get my paycheck once a week, month, whatever your pay period was. You see the money come in the bank. You've got a kind of this rhythm built, right? This is how much comes in. Here's our spending. We've got this amount. We're putting money away. And that's the other thing that often I run into in retirement with clients is, they're not spending everything that's coming in. So this concept of saving is still with them.
Okay. Yeah.
And as we start to talk about income, it's how much of that do I need to save? It's like, well, no, you don't save any. It's already saved. We're spending the saving now. It's not like we're taking extra income so you can save more. It's we're taking the income to spend.
That's a great point because that was my second one. Really, was a misunderstanding of the retirement income. It can feel unearned, I guess, maybe sometimes, right? Because it's well, we're pulling this from this account. I didn't work for. Well, no, you worked for it for 40 years.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And it is a big adjustment. It usually takes most retirees at least a year to kind of get into that groove of, first of all, what is it that I really need?
Yeah.
And that's a process to work through of, once you make the adjustment out of the workforce, because things change.
Yep.
Maybe you've got 2 cars or 3 cars, whatever it is, you're downsizing that. You don't have, the clothing, the suits, whatever it is you wore, at work.
Right.
But now you pick up extra hobbies. There's all these different things. It takes some time to get figured out what that quote unquote budget is in retirement of what do I need? What does my comfortable retirement really look like? And that's the thing that we've got to set some numbers to begin with, right? To have a plan to understand, okay, does it work at this level? And then we'll work through it along the way as you get settled into that first year of retirement to make you hopefully more comfortable and confident along the way.
Well, and I think that's where guilt, which is the third one, comes into play. You were talking about, like, you're not doing the work things, you're not buying suits or whatever, but when you start to buy the things or do the things that you kind of really want to do,
right.
Some people struggle with the guilt aspect of it, going, well, we spent 40 years building this. Do I really need this frivolous little thing or whatever? Or to take this, we're going to go to Disney for the third time with the grandkids. Was the first and second one okay, fine. Is the third one really necessary? And it's like,
right.
Who cares if it's necessary if you have it covered? It's
right.
the memories that you're making. It's living your life, right?
Yeah, and it is difficult. And
sure.
For clients to get over that. In fact, I was meeting with a client yesterday going through their tax return, and we're talking about RMDs because this is the year for them. They're 73.
Okay.
We kind of went through the rough numbers of what their RMDs might be this year. And we've been doing Roth conversions over the years to help minimize that. But I mean, there's still pretty sizable IRA. And as we're running through the numbers, the wife was joking with the husband, well, I guess you can, look at that bike. And I'm like, yeah, go buy the bike. You've got a $30,000 RMD that, I mean, we can save it. You're going to pay tax on it. We'll put it back in a non-qualified account. But
right.
What are you going to do with it? It's your money. Go enjoy it. It's retirement. If you want the bike, I said, I want to see a picture of the bike. Send me a picture.
Right. Exactly. Well, and I think, again, back to the plan, right? That written plan with real withdrawal rate projections over time, right? You're starting to see things pushed out 10, 20 years. That often does help that permission, to enjoy a little bit, right? Still baby steps for some people, but one thing at a time starts to maybe hopefully help people get there. So you're really reframing thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes time to get into the groove of it. For some people, I mean, there's some people that get into retirement, it's like, boom, spend it.
And they're ready to go. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's go put the reins on that horse a little bit. We got to bring it back, but it takes time to figure it out. But the whole spending process is a challenge, right?
Yeah.
And especially for those that have been very diligent savers, they're very disciplined at that. I've got another client that we're working with. She just retired this year. Her husband retired 6 years ago.
Okay.
We're walking through that process, running the math. Yeah, you've got more than enough. You're going to leave, $2.5 million at the end, even at the spending level that we have. And she's just retired, and we're talking about, okay, this is, your retirement budget, and to match the income you had. Oh, I can't spend that. I'm like, that's what it's there for. Spend it. Well, no, I don't want to take it until I have to, until I hit that required minimum distribution age. And the husband's like, what are you talking about? This is what we saved for. Let's enjoy this. And she's like, I might have to go back to work. I'm like, you do not have to go back to work.
Oh, wow.
Unless you want to. I mean,
right.
You need that fulfillment or whatever the case is, but financially, you do not need to go back to work. You've got more than enough. Spend it. Enjoy it.
The Tax Smart Retiree is your comprehensive guide to mastering tax efficiency for a flourishing retirement. You will find indispensable advice and actionable strategies designed to enhance tax savings, maximize Social Security benefits, protect against market volatility, and develop a customized retirement plan. To get your free ebook, click the link in the show notes of today's episode and download your copy of The Tax Smart Retiree right now.
You ever have somebody where you've got everything put together, everything's solid, they're seeing it, but they're just still not totally buying in, and they're underspending to their own, to their own, detriment, right? They're not enjoying it. Like, how do you continue to try to work to get through to them, or do you just at some point go, they're just going to be who they are?
Yeah, I mean, at some point they're just who they are, right? You're not going to change that.
Right.
My goal is to make them as comfortable, and if that's their choice, then that's their choice. What I don't want to have them is have regret. I don't want them to all of a sudden be in their 80s looking back at, I've got
Bill, why didn't you tell me I could spend more? I did.
All this money, and it's like, well, I probably should have taken some of those cruises or vacations. It's like, yeah.
I told you, right? Yeah.
Regret, I'm telling you today, everything looks good. We'll monitor it each year. It's not like we're saying spend and go.
Right.
I'm watching it, but you're fine. Spend it, enjoy it. What do you want to do? What's those visions and goals? I don't want them to have that regret at the end.
Yeah.
So because
now,
I mean, by then it's not
could be too late, right?
But it could be too late. You can't enjoy it as much. You don't, so
yeah. Well, for some, and again, this is, not everybody falls into this category, but if you've been, pretty diligent for 30 or 40 years about building this stuff up, saving habits are great. And getting people, look, we try really hard to get people to get there. Mm-hmm. The point of the Social Security, the point of now these Secure Act changes is saying, hey, we have to do a better job of saving for our older future selves.
Right.
And so, getting people into that mindset is awesome. But then, sometimes after a habit builds for 40 years, it's hard to break that habit. Nothing wrong with it. But that's it's one of the reasons I think that working with an advisor, again, Phil, we talk a lot of times about behavioral management.
Right.
It's not just talking me off the ledge because the market's doing something crazy or I want to do something crazy. It's also talking to me about the fact that I'm okay. I can do this. You've seen this 1,000 with 1,000 other people. And now I feel better knowing that you've got it all down in black and white for me so that I can see it and I can spend my money and not necessarily feel guilty about it, right? That's a big piece, behavioral management.
Yeah, and knowing, every decision has the result of the decision. So if you don't spend it, somebody's going to.
The old saying, your kids will fly first class if you don't, right?
There you go. You're going to either enjoy it or somebody's going to, the kids or whoever you've named as a beneficiary.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't mean you have to live frivolously. And I have that with several clients too. It's like, that's just not my style, right? I don't spend lavishly. I never have.
Right.
Even though I could now, it's not something I want to do. Well, you don't have to, but
right.
Enjoying it.
Yeah.
And build memories. That's kids, your grandkids are going to remember those more than the money when you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So, to the point about the bike, right? If not that particular person, but if somebody was like, I've always dreamed of having this expensive bike, but it's just not my style to spend lavishly. Maybe I'd rather take the grandkids someplace and build a memory. Cool. Then do that. Right. But the point is, know that you have this document and that you have this changing document in the plan that's going to keep you kind of supported and grounded and realize, hey, I can go spend this money on the grandkids or whatever it is. Right.
Right.
So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's a hard part, right? There's
the emotional side of retirement.
Yeah, there's two big challenges, right? In getting to retirement for a lot of people, it's A, what do I do with all this time?
Yep.
And B, what do I do with all this money?
Yeah, and making a transition from save because you've been, trained for years and years to put the money away, don't touch it, don't look at it, just let it grow, and there's a reason you were doing that, and it's retirement. Right. So it's hard to bridge that gap and kind of make that transition from that accumulation mindset to now you got to spend it.
But the reason is finally here, right? Retirement. That's the reason, and it's finally here. And
for a lot of people, they're probably
they get there.
Is they make it pretty quick, right? But there's a handful of people that it's a struggle.
Yeah. And I'm sure sometimes it
needs to help and know you. They understand you, hopefully, if they've worked with you for years to kind of understand, your goals, your concerns and walk you through that. So,
and just like in any situation, a lot of times the couples are completely different.
Oh yeah.
One is like, let's go. And the other one's like, let's not, so you got to work through those pieces too. So a plan really at the end of the day does help the mindset when you can see the projections and you can see 10 years out and 15 years out that you're still going to have the right amount that you need and blah, 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 blah. That can really help that spending bug. The budget word definitely trips a lot of people up because we went through a lot of phase in life where we were living on a fixed budget. And so when we hear budget, we think, oh, that means restrictive. So call it a spending plan, call it whatever you want, right? But just realize it's just numbers, knowing what's coming in and what's going out, and that you'll be all right. So, if you need some help, as always, reach out to Phil. That's what he does day in and day out, even if it is tax time. It's beginning of April. Here is, I guess it's the end of tax time, but
we're right at the end of it here. So.
Yeah, but either way, reach out to him if you got questions, need help. As always, we got links in the show descriptions down below, and get yourself some time on the calendar with a CPA and a personal financial specialist, which is Phil Putney, right here on Phil's Tax Hacks and other retirement facts. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Take care.
Phil? Investment advisory services offered through AFS Wealth Management.
The content of this program is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. Investments and/or investment strategies involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. There is no assurance that any investment strategy will achieve its objectives.